So today I think we'll start out with a round robin once it's ready to go, because I need to stay on mute for a little bit because my husband's also having a meeting and he talks really loud. So we'll go around, introduce yourself, and if you want to say something that's been happening at your church, something exciting that you want to share, and something that maybe you're struggling with that someone else might have an idea on. Raise your hand if you want to go first, and then select the next person after you.
I'll go ahead. It says Pamela, but it's Greg Veal from St. Matthew. Nothing new to report. It's the same old stuff that we've been doing. So we're hanging in there. Jim.
I'm Jim Truscott. I'm at Mission Bell United Methodist Church. Just like Greg was saying there, nothing essentially different. We did our governing board meeting last night, and that was a lot of fun. We were thankful not to have to go out in the cold and wet. So I think Zoom is very efficient for that. I'm sorry. Let's go with Deb Shower.
Hi there, I'm over at Spirit of Hope in Peoria, Arizona. And yeah, we're kind of same story. I keep talking about how we are doing worship differently. We do pre-recordings. I don't do it live. I do some things live, but not too much. So we're trying to incorporate our choir by doing using an app on iPod, which is kind of exciting. Our choir director is using this to where it's called a cappella. And so, but you have, the only problem with it is that you have to have an iPhone to use it. So it's kind of, that's kind of, and with our pre-recorded, that is basically whenever they want to see it from Saturday night through Sunday, and then I have a Zoom meeting every Sunday at 10 o'clock. Just to keep them in the habit of coming to church, even if it is on Zoom. So I've had a pretty good response from that. And at that Zoom meeting, they said, oh, it was great seeing the choir. So it's a different form of singing to a recording, and, you know, got little squares all over. So that's the one thing. We do have right now, one thing that our church does every year, and we're still going to do it, is that we do the Super Bowl challenge, which is you bring food in for the food bank, you know, against the two teams. And so how we're doing this is that we have, you know, red buckets sitting in front of our church, and people drive by and put food in it. And so then, you know, the display on the marquee, it changes about who's going to actually win. And so it's really kind of fun to see people bringing in food items, which is donated to people that we're partnership with, which is Heart Pantry, and then also West Valley Food Bank. So that's some stuff that we're still doing. I want to say a month ago, keeping our social distance, we came together to make ash sifters for people. If you don't know what that is like a little square about this big. And it's wooden, and it has a screen on it. And then it's basically to make its way to California for those who have suffered loss through fires. And so you can sift through the ashes of your home, and maybe you find some belonging. We did hear by somebody, where they've done these before, where someone found like jewelry and a wedding band that was very special to them. So, you know, that's one thing that we're still trying to do stuff behind the scenes. And we do have a good following. I'm trying something different with Lent coming up. And so I'm talking to them, and we'll see how that goes. So that's what's happening over at Spirit of Hope. Still missing everybody. That's the hardest part about this whole thing, where I have people who have died or sick and in the hospital, and I can't go and be with them like I usually do as a pastor. So anyway, that's what's happening over at Spirit of Hope.
Go ahead and pick somebody to go after you.
Oh, I got to pick someone. I'm going to say Bob Cup. Good seeing you. You look great.
There we go. It's good to be back with you all after a little over 2 weeks of quarantine. Judy and I both had COVID, and I actually ended up with a more severe case than she did, although neither one of us ended up in the hospital, so praise God for that. But I'll tell you, that stuff really gets a hold of you and kicks the stuffings out of you. I have a dear chaplain friend of mine in Tucson who is in the hospital at TMC right now. And he is really fighting, literally fighting for his life. So his name is Bart Goodwin. He's a retired DPS officer and become pastor at Calvary Church in Tucson, and is now in the hospital. So keep him in your prayers if you would. I'm looking out my home office window at about 4 inches of snow on the ground right now. And it started snowing yesterday evening, and it has, every once in a while it'll let up for a little bit and then it comes back again. It was snowing sideways here a little bit ago. So, it's always interesting. Things at the church are going pretty well. Just actually finished up with a Bible study. We call it Toast and Theology. It used to be when we were in person, we would gather together at the church at 7:30, and somebody would volunteer to cook and bring breakfast, and then we'd have breakfast, and then after breakfast we'd have our Bible study. So we went from 7:30 to 9. Now, as it is, we're doing Zoom on everything, and and we're still going. So that's a good thing. I have to share with you all, it's an amazing thing that happened last week, Monday. A dear friend of ours up in Show Low, guy that's sang with me for over 10 years in a barbershop quartet. He and his wife went to a Christmas craft bazaar at their church in Heber Overgaard, and not our church, but it's a Roman Catholic church. And there was a gal that came there and was evidently positive. Wasn't wearing, I don't know whether she was wearing a mask or maybe not. But in any case, Larry and Jan both came down with COVID. Larry was sick for about 3 or 4 days and woke up the next day or the following day, and it was like he had never been sick. Jan, on the other hand, got very sick, ended up on a ventilator, and unfortunately we lost her. The amazing thing, the miraculous thing, I will say miraculous, is that, they asked me to speak at her funeral, which I did, but they also asked me if I would set up a Zoom broadcast because there were some folks that were not going to be able to be there. And I figured, okay, yeah, I could probably do that without any trouble. We ultimately, long story short, were broadcasting to Vienna, Austria, to France, and numbers of states here in the United States. They had grandchildren in Vienna, Austria that could not come, and they had a foreign exchange student daughter years ago that the two families have been fast friends ever since. Larry and Jan would go to France, and the French family would come here. The French daughter came here, and of course they were not able to come. And I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna go this on a wing and a prayer. And I said, I'm thinking it should work. You know, it stands to reason. It's a link, and by golly, it did. We did have a couple of times during the service where we lost audio, and I had to reconnect or do some finagling. But other than that, for the most part, it was just amazing. So again, I praise God in the midst of this pandemic that we have been able to do things that we never would have dreamed about. I hadn't even heard of Zoom on March the 22nd. And that was the last time that we had in-person worship before we suspended for the first time here in Wilcox. So it's been a fast learning curve as well as it has been for everybody. But I was just amazed that we were able to do that funeral service. The Bowie Church is not worshiping currently. They had an uptick in the COVID cases there. One of the very active members of the church had a heart attack and ended up with a stent. And so I've been very cautious about not wanting to go back to in-person worship. We may, it just kind of depends on what the count is in Bowie this week. We may end up going back to in-person worship on Sunday, but we're just going to play it by ear and find out. So that's where that's at, or where the church is at. For both churches, the giving has really remarkably been very good. Which it's been again another miracle. You wouldn't think that if people are not able to attend worship or a Bible study in person that they would curtail in their giving, but that has not been the case. So praise God for that. Looking forward, I'm June the 30th is coming at warp speed. And that will be my last day at Wilcox. I'm not sure what the bishop plans on doing as far as Bowie is concerned. I have volunteered to continue on with, boy, here comes the snow again. I have volunteered to stay on with Bowie if that's the desire of the cabinet. So we'll have to see what that brings. February the 8th, I'm going to be going into Tucson Orthopedic for a total left knee replacement. So I covet your prayers. And I think that's about it for me right now. Let's go with, and I'm not sure, I was a little late getting on, so I'm not sure. How about Carla? Have you, I'm seeing those beautiful mountains behind you.
So these beautiful mountains, you reminded me when you were talking, Bob, these beautiful mountains actually probably have quite a bit of snow on them up there. It's the back of Sedona. So I probably should get a winter picture right now, but it's nice. I am, for those of you that don't know, I am the admin for West District and for North District for Nancy Cushman and Dan Morley. But I also attend Crossing the Desert. And we, like everyone else, are just kind of going on like we have been since March. But it's been a little frustrating because we will log on to meetings. We had, we put up a discussion as part of our stewardship campaign to have people come on and talk and share, but we always get the same people. And so I'm looking for suggestions on how we can get some new people on these Zoom meetings, either in the fellowship time or in a Bible study. What have you guys done to entice people to do that? So we don't have to talk about it now, but when we get to the discussion part, Christina, could we throw that in? Hey, Chris, you're next to me, so why don't you go?
Hey, I am Chris Krager. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager at Dayspring. One of the other things that I do for some reason, even though I'm horribly unqualified, is IT. And so we're still online exclusively. We're not doing anything out of the campus right now, which is good because our Wi-Fi is down. So our whole network has been taken out. We're actually looking at changing over because we've had this issue for so long. We're looking at changing over to fiber from coax, which is what we have right now. And I don't know if anybody has experience with that. And we're also looking for, if anybody has a recommendation, we're looking for somebody who can re-network the campus. So that's my world lately has been dealing with computer networking issues, as well as I'm putting together a 24-page magazine that's due on Monday. So,
Did you end up finding out a solution for the online magazine?
no, we're sticking with issue for right now. But if anybody has suggestions for good online publishing. And I will choose Jennifer.
Whoops. Having trouble with my mute. Let's see.
You're not muted. You're good.
Oh, good. Thanks. Laptop died. I'm using my Kindle. So good morning, everybody. And yeah, I'm from Eloy, and we're still chugging along online. We do record ours ahead of time, not too far ahead of time, depending on who's putting it together. We have 3 of us that take turns with or 4 of us, including the pastor, that take turns with the services, because Pastor Ed is part-time. We do the last Sunday of every month, we do a lay sermon. So we've been doing that. We're just ramping up for Lent. We've got a couple of ideas. We're hoping to keep people involved, or you know, it's been a year now and people are like tired of this. I know Ed says, you know, I'm so tired of preaching into a computer screen. And, me too. So we're hanging in there like others have said. And I did notice that there's a Lent program on resources, so we're going to be looking at that too. I don't know, my screen's not showing everybody, so I don't know if there's someone else who hasn't gone.
Well, there's First Church. I'm not sure who's there.
First Church, go ahead.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and continue, and we could always get back to First Church. All right. So the first item that I wanted to share with you guys is about UMOM New Day Centers. I'm going to post a link in the chat, but I'll also share my screen. Second. The link is to an article that we just posted, I think yesterday, and you'll see it. There's a copy and paste section that you can use if you want to share it in your congregational emails or next newsletter. Basically, UMOM is just looking for some Bibles. The need is greater than what they have, and you know, any kind of Bibles, including children's Bibles. If your church has any to donate, if you happen to be in the Phoenix area, then Pat Majar can pick them up. That was it about that. But I did want to mention that just to watch out for that. I guess you could use it now since I already posted the link. It is going to be included in the next week's newsletter, which last week I said it was going to be this week. I don't know what I was thinking last week. It's always the first Tuesday of the month when the conference newsletter goes out. Okay, next is, it's not from the conference, it's from the World Council of Churches that has resources available as well for churches to use. Again, I'm going to put the link in here and I'll share my screen just so you could get a little preview of it. Monday, January 25th. Oh, technically that would have started yesterday. So my bad. So it's traditionally observed then. I'm sure you could still use some of the resources that are available. Wow, I am just realizing that's kind of late. Well, I just found out about it last week, I think it was. So then the other piece is about another piece is Western Jurisdiction Media Campaign. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about what's coming out for it this time. I put the link in there again. I'll share my screen. Just a second, because what I wanted to mention is just, every month the conference is coming out with resources in addition to the items that come out from the jurisdiction. And so if your church is thinking about using this stuff, or you are already using it and you're anxious to see, well, what about March? What about, what happened whenever? You can easily get to it by clicking on this green Where Love Lives button. So if you're planning right now for February stuff, which I'm sure you are, you wouldn't have to know the February link. You don't have to know the March link. Just get to this page and you'll see each month gets linked in there as soon as we have some resources available. So February's, you would click here to get to the resources. You can click here to access all of the downloadable stuff. But this is also linked on the resources page. It's the first big green button. We already have the March images ready to go, so those are linked, but we don't have the content ready to go yet. March, and this is part of why I'm mentioning it now. It's not ready, but just so you can prepare, the first weekend in March of the Western Jurisdiction Media Campaign stuff from the Desert Southwest Conference is going to feature the bishop. So ideally we'll have his stuff or the parts of the March resources available starting February 22nd. At the very least, we should have the bishop's March 7th stuff. And then as additional items come up, we'll add those in there. So that's that. And then I'm gonna go back to the home page because there is some cool stuff happening from DSC Race Coalition. And the reason why I'm going back to the homepage is just, again, to bring to your attention that as this stuff gets published, you can easily access it by going to DSC Race. Right now, the page doesn't reflect all the stuff that's going on. It looks the same as before, but, and some things we'll keep in here, like the long shadow and a link to the 21-day challenge. The exciting part is, so I'm already redesigning a lot of these pages so that it's ready to go when they're ready to launch. But for DSC Race, they're actually going to have worship experience for Black History Month, which is February. They're going to have an updated version of the 21-day challenge. They're also doing a book study on the book called I'm Black, I'm Christian, I'm Methodist by Rudy Rasmus. I'll put a link in the chat for you. And then they're going to have a webinar on February 28th with Reverend Rudy Rasmus, Reverend Dr. Pamela Lightsey, and Reverend Dr. Vance Ross. And it's going to be about that book, I'm Black, I'm Methodist. No, wait, I'm Christian, I'm Methodist. And of course, the DSC Race Coalition will be there as well. So all four of those things will be linked on the DSC Race page. And so that you can prepare now for future months. They are going to do the 21-day challenge with the focus on Asian American and Pacific Islander for the month of May. I think that's when it's that History Month then. And then they'll do an update for Hispanic Heritage Month which is September 15th through October 15th, I believe. And then they're going to do one for Native American Heritage Month as well, which is in November. So keep note of that. I'll include it in my notes that I emailed to all you guys. So you know that that's coming up, and you can share that information with your committee so you guys can prepare, think about if you want to be a part of it. I think that's it, other than I had a question about, I was just curious how you guys, does it make sense to you guys? Do you think that you could use, if we had conference-wide worship services or service resources for a conference-wide memorial on COVID, people that died from COVID? Does that make sense, or do you think that you'd be more likely to do something like that just for your church? And we're not, I don't know what the bishop's going to finalize on this, what it would look like. Would it be a worship service, or is it things that you can use at your on your schedule? Deborah, go ahead.
Personally, I think it would be nice to come together to focus in on, to help those churches not knowing what exactly to do. I have to say, I truly appreciate it. Of course, I had my own health issues this year, but I really appreciated whenever the bishop did Pentecost. Was that what he did? Anyway, yes. And I sure appreciated that because, and I have to say, my people appreciated it too, because they, and I still did an introduction and just a small bit of recording, and then put that in there. And my people really appreciated hearing from the bishop. Because they don't. When we're in conference, we hear from it. And if you're connected with the conference, then you're going to. So they really appreciated that. And if they could put something, because as we've already said, this isn't the easiest thing that we've done as far as doing these worships online, and trying to come up with innovative ways of doing it. And every week, because it's trying to, sorry to say this, but with marketing, what's the catch? What's gonna, they should come just because they should, but so and so we do have, but I don't know, because they go to, and if they let me know that they've viewed this on YouTube, then you don't really know. And I'm sure that you could go into YouTube and figure out who's clicked it on it. But to me, this is my voice speaking, that I think it's wonderful. That brings, even, we're trying to connect with our people, but this brings us, we are a connectional denomination, and this connects us with the bishop and the cabinet and all of the, you do a wonderful job, Christina, of putting together videos, and wish, we could clone you and bring you to different churches to help with this. So to me, I think if you can pass that along, that's my feeling.
Go ahead, Jennifer. And thank you, Deborah.
So I was just going to say, me too. I agree. Anything that we can get that brings us closer to the rest of the conference is good. It does feel like we're, especially, we're a small, tiny church, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. So that's what it feels like a lot of the time. We have had more and more people joining us, just friends of friends, for different reasons. Some staying with us, some not. So. But yeah, anything that comes from our bishop, we would appreciate.
Okay. What about, so I know that the bishop does want to do something for COVID. I guess my question is, Now, would it be better, do you think, would the sentiment be better if we all planned on using the resources on the same Sunday? Or if the different pieces were available, a message from the bishop and whatever, and churches could just use it when it works out for them? Maybe we could have like a recommended Sunday. Go ahead, Chris.
Would it have to be a service on like a Sunday morning? I mean, could it be something maybe on like a Sunday afternoon where it could be a dedicated time, so you're not you're not necessarily competing with service?
That's a good idea.
It could, it could be just a standalone. I don't know what the format would be, whether it would be Zoom or if it would just be like a broadcast that people could tune into. But I definitely think that it's needed.
I agree. I think if we could find a dedicated time for everyone and make it a conference-wide event, so to speak, a Sunday afternoon message, or even if it's just plugged into the worship on Sunday morning, I think would be good. But I think people want to hear from the bishop, because a lot of people are not connected in any way to the conference. They don't check out the website or anything like that. But I think if we get the word out that the bishop's going to do something, I won't say Super Bowl Sunday, but sometime, maybe Valentine's Day the following week, something like that would be great.
Go ahead, Carla.
I just have to throw out the reminder that we need to somehow incorporate the people that can't do online worship with written material that can be sent out by churches, because some of them can't even. We have people in our church that don't even have an email or internet connection.
Thank you for that one. I made note of that as well. So I'm pretty sure that the service would not be anytime very soon, only because I know the bishop was concerned that we're still so deep in the throes of it that he didn't want to do it too prematurely. But I don't know when exactly he would be planning for it. So as soon as I hear anything about it, I'll let you guys know. And then of course we'll put an official announcement out once it's all set in stone. Bob, go ahead.
And along with the churches, as was it Carla mentioned, or not Carla, Chris, I don't have my glasses on. Chris, thank you. That Chris mentioned that church, not only do we need some materials, printed materials, I would also say bilingual materials for folks who Spanish is their primary language. Because I've got folks in the Bowie Church that don't read English all that well, and that would be helpful if we're. And virtually nobody in the Bowie Church has capabilities or technologically savvy enough to do Zoom.
All right, that's helpful. Took note of all that. And I imagine that if we were to do, there's so many different ways to be able to do the translation. Is it called translation when it's live? It's not, is it? It is? Okay. So we could definitely do that. We could definitely have the printed items ready to go. Maybe like a nice, I don't know if it's super fancy and not expensive, but a little booklet that we could send out to those churches that have requested maybe, or send out a certain number and then we can send additional if you need more, maybe something like that. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So, yeah, and definitely, if you're sending out materials like that, if you can send us the electronic copy, that's really, really good, because then we can print it, we can use it, we can send it with whatever we're doing. But I, as least paper as we need to use. I mean, yes, we have to print it out for the people who don't have the internet, but then we can also share it with those who do. So I appreciate it. Anything that comes in electronic format.
Okay, sounds good. All right, if there's no other comments about the COVID memorial idea, let's go to Carla's question about what does your church do to entice new people to join Zoom fellowship time? Not fellowship?
Anything, Bible studies, anything.
Okay.
We get the same people over and over again.
Mm-hmm. I remember in another Zoom meeting like this, Nancy Cushman was talking about how cool it was that her mom was able to join them for worship, and I think her niece or daughter or somebody else. So it was neat to have the different generations. And then other people have shared something similar that, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't be able to worship with my loved ones out of state. So maybe encouraging, I don't know if it's not even necessarily that you're having, you're telling your members to invite your family to quit their church and join ours, nothing like that. But remember, this is another opportunity for you to spend quality time with your family, invite them to join us for worship. We have fellowship time at, this time and blah, blah, blah. Or how comfortable it is to be able to invite a neighbor that maybe doesn't have extended family or family living with them, invite them to join us for worship and be able to see your neighbor there and make some new friends. Deborah, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I want to say that it is word of mouth. It's just like it is with church. How they always say the best thing is you invite someone whenever you're inviting someone. So I will say that I have people from, family members that don't live here, and will they ever physically come to our church? No, but still it's that connection. So it's really quite nice. But I know her main question, and I'm having this problem, is dealing with Zoom meetings. And it is lack of exactly how to do it, lack of proper equipment. But I have one lady, and it was so cute. She finally, her kids got her a smartphone so that she could do this. First time she came on, I could tell she just shrank into herself. And I could tell she felt very uncomfortable. And so as soon as the call was over with, I called her and said, "So how was it?" She goes, "It is not for me. I do not like that. I want to be there with people. I do not want to be in a screen." And I don't, and so we talked about it. And I said, I understand. I said, this isn't my favorite way of doing it either. So we talked about it. But what's been interesting, she's come the last 2 times to that Zoom, and she's feeling more comfortable with it. So it is, it's still and I don't have the magic formula for you, Carla, because it, if I did, I'd love it. Now, let's see. So I don't know of anyone who has, like their screen full. We might have 25 people coming on those Zoom meetings. And sometimes it's different. People can be even in their cars. We have people who wanted to go see the snow. And so, but they tuned in to talk, because it is a time where, I ask a silly question. I mean, I sat there and said, "Hey, do you know what the national day is today? Today is the national day of being, offering a compliment, being complimentary to people." So I said, "So let's give some compliments to everybody." And that got them talking. And so, and it is more of a fellowship, other than we do have our, meetings on it. But to get people to come for a time of fellowship is hard. And so I don't know any special formula of what to do other than, asking people to show up. So.
Go ahead, Chris, and then I'm going to ask Russ to share about his church right after.
The only thing that I can say, and it's hard work, is just to offer it at different times, because that's one of the things that we found is that, some people really want to have it during the day, and some people really want to have it in the afternoon or over lunch or in the evenings because they're working. So maybe just play around and see if there's a different time that may work for other people. I don't know. I wish I had the answers, because we certainly have that too. But one thing that we've started is anytime we have a book study that's intended for the whole congregation, we'll usually do 5 different times, which again is a lot of work for whoever's leading it, but just an idea.
Okay, Russ, do you want to give us an update about what's going on at your church, any needs, and if you have some ideas about how to get new people? I know you do. You've got the answers. Get new people to join you on Zoom.
Good morning. I've been on the whole meeting listening, but I'm here, just 2 of us in the office, so we're doing phones and visitors and mail. So sorry, I just popped on. We do all of our administrative committees on Zoom, and actually our attendance for administrative committees has skyrocketed since last March and April, because a lot of people are more available to do it remotely on Zoom. Tonight we're having our combined finance and council meetings. We've had trustees, foundation board. We also have, let's see, this afternoon we have a book club meeting on Zoom. Many of our adult Sunday school classes meet on Zoom. All of our children's Sunday school classes meet on Zoom. So we've really embraced it. And I don't know what more to say about that.
That's helpful. Thank you. And I wondered if it maybe would help if there was like a generic card or file that you could include in if you send out an email to your congregation reminding them about worship services, or with the bulletin that includes the link to the Zoom in it, and just letting them know, print it out and you can drop it off in your neighbor's mailbox. So it's easy for them to join. I think like this, like anything else, I mean, you really do have to think about the marketing side of it. Like, what's in it for them? What are they missing out on that makes attending worship online the answer? So maybe talking to people where that were waiting to join, talk to them to find out what was it that kept them from joining before, and see if you could message your invitations or commercials, I guess, about come to worship with us around those needs or struggles. Okay, we've got 15 minutes. Jennifer, then Bob.
Hi, sorry. So what we do is we encourage everybody who is watching to hit the share button, because if they're watching through Facebook, that automatically shares it to their page, and everybody else that sees their page sees that. So that's one thing where we've gotten other people to join in. Like others have said, I have family across the country who are watching. And the fact that then it goes to YouTube, the link is still there. They can watch whenever it's convenient. So we actually have more people watch throughout the week than on Sunday. So those are just some of what we do.
And as far as what we're doing as well, I include, and Chris, you probably already do, or not Chris, Carly, you're probably already doing this. And that is to encourage everybody that receives an invitation to forward that invitation on to somebody The other thing is that I include in the invitation also for the worship service, I include a worship sketch, which has the meditation on the scripture, the call to worship, all the different, the invocation, the prayer of dedication, so on and so forth. So it's basically almost like a bulletin, only I just call it a worship sketch. And then for the Sunday school class, I include the an attachment that has the scriptures that we're going to be looking at each Sunday. So those kinds of things you can do, and again, then it just encouraging people to be that courageous church that we're called to be, and in loving like Jesus. And I know I'm being, using the company line, but in loving like Jesus, to reach out to somebody and say, hey, come join us. It's like Deb said, more people join a church at the invitation of a friend than in any other method of evangelism. And so I would, just continue to encourage people to invite your friends, invite your family. And we too, I'm getting family members in Pennsylvania and California that I wouldn't have otherwise if we were just doing in-person worship. So that's pretty amazing.
Thank you. I think, Carla, one way you could do Chris's idea about having the different scheduled times would be if they recorded it or published it on YouTube or Facebook, one time. Let's say the scheduled time is 8 a.m. in the morning. Then you could ask either that the host person that is leading the book study, or ask the members if they would also, like Bob was saying and Jennifer, share it, but not necessarily just to share, after the fact. They could do a watch party.
And that's a good idea. I like that.
Just as a teaser, like, so their friends can see, hey, I'll watch with you and, engage with you. And, maybe you can join us next week at our scheduled time, or just keep it that way with the watch party happening. And then don't forget about Glade Kniston's suggestions about the YouTube channel that'll get people that are not at all connected with the church and membership to stumble upon your church's videos and potentially keep watching. And those recordings, by the way, are available on the Desert Southwest Conference website. Again, going to the homepage, clicking on, there's a black button that says how to worship online. Actually, I'm going to share my screen again. There we go, how to worship online. That brings you to all of the worship resources that we have. And these first 3 videos are the ones where Glade Kniston walks you step by step on how to improve your church's YouTube channel to increase viewership. I'm telling you, when I had talked to Glade about how many people are in attendance now at your church, and I meant in person, because I was going to see it. Can we get some kind of a discount on streaming services through another company now that I don't know, I thought with attendance numbers being low in person, maybe it's less expensive. And, but he started telling me about their attendance numbers online, which is crazy high, hundreds of people and sometimes over 1,000 people. And that's not the case in person, but right now they're regularly seeing these increases, and he lays it all out step by step how he did that, from going from just under 100 people watching to hundreds of people watching. So that's in those 3 videos. Be sure to watch those. Yeah, that's all I've got. 10 minutes left. It's been a great conversation. Thanks for that question, Carla.
Well, thank you guys all for the answers and suggestions. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Russ, do you have a question?
Well, I was just going to mention on Ash Wednesday, we've had a traditional soup supper here at the church, and then our Ash Wednesday service. So this year we're going to do an Ash Wednesday soup supper on Zoom, where we invite everybody to have soup and crackers on Zoom with each other, and then conclude the soup supper and then move to live stream for the Ash Wednesday service. So just a social event that might be able to be incorporated for Carla's question, how to get other people involved, kind of create some events where people can do things together. We did a Monday, Thursday service last year, similar to that, but we're going to focus this year on soup supper.
Very cool. Thanks, Russ.
And Christine, a quick question. It's probably on those videos that you were just referring to a minute ago. But how difficult is it to do a Zoom or do Zoom and YouTube simultaneously?
Oh, that's what we're doing right now. We're doing Zoom, and it's going to YouTube as well. So not difficult at all.
Is there a tutorial on that?
Oh, I'll share my screen and let's check it out. I'm pretty sure that there is, let's see here. Require Vimeo churches using Zoom. Learn about all the best practices for Zoom in order to ensure the safety. Oh, that's more about safety stuff. I don't know if you guys know that when you see all these dots, that means there's other articles or items that you can look at here. So there's going to be more things which require. Well, I think this is all about the recent trainings. Well, I will find out about that and get that to you. I can also walk you through it. There is also instructions directly from the Zoom site on how to do that. But I will find that and get it to you. Oh, here we go. Zoom to, there we go. Step-by-step instructions on how to live stream through the following channels. So this one would get you to those step-by-step instructions, and that's from Zoom.
Okay.
And that's how you do it. If you have problems with it, Bob, or anybody that's watching this, you can always reach out to me. Just email communications@dscumc.org. I can run through a practice session with you. I can do a screen share to show you, here's how I do it, if that's more helpful for you. And I could be the tester person if you need to let you know if I can hear it okay, is it working, whatever.
Super, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
I've got a question for Chris.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You were talking about you need some IT help and whatever. I'm here in Tempe, but I'm not the IT person. But if I find somebody, how could we get in touch with you?
You can email me. I can put my email in the chat. Thank you.
I was also going to mention that GCFA does have some recommendations, like if you're trying to figure out equipment-wise, live streaming or whatever, they have support services now that could help maybe, but I think what you're looking for is just a local tech that can actually get in there and mess. Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. All right. Okay, so Greg, hope you see the email address in the chat.
Thank you.
And thank you for offering. I don't have anything else, guys. Anybody else? Last final thing? Okay, well, I do pray for you guys, for all the communicators at all of our churches, and obviously that includes pastors. They're the ones that are spreading the word, right? And I know that there are others that join us in prayer for all of us trying to support the ministry that we're called to do. I just wanted to mention that because I know it can be challenging, especially right now with all these additional pieces that we need to learn for our job, being IT support and finding people that can do the actual equipment and, new ways to think of how we market for the church. It's incredible. And we need to remain positive and happy because, we're the first connection to the church in some cases when a new person is wanting to about how to watch online or whatever. So I do hope that you guys feel the warmth and love and presence of God with you, even in the midst of your struggles. And especially on those greatest, happiest days when you solve something, don't forget to give glory to God. And thanks to this network of communicators for, offering, hey, I've got some ideas. I've got a question. This is just as fruitful for me as I hope it is for you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.